I mean, The View has to be, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any.
Picture Whoopi Goldberg walking onto View set, all swagger and ready to preach. But Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly weren't playing. Within minutes, Rogan was hurling truth like kettlebells, Megyn launched precision strikes, and suddenly Whoopi's signature eye rolls looked more like SOS signals. The sass? Gone. The confidence? Meh. It was like she showed up with a spoon to a flamethrower fight. So what did they say that left Whoopi praying for a commercial break? Buckle up. This takedown was spicier than anything daytime TV usually dares to serve.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said it's on.
Whoopi Goldberg, once the bold, rebellious voice of Sister Act, has somehow rebranded herself as daytime TV's chief gaslighter in residence. Somewhere between cracking jokes on stage and shuffling awkwardly through View, she decided it was her duty to interpret politics, culture, and medicine, often with the confidence of someone who hasn't Googled anything since 2007. At this stage in her career, you'd think she'd be schooling folks on retirement plans, not public policy. But no, Whoopi insists on being the loudest voice in the room, even when the mic isn't plugged in.
Whoopi Goldberg was angry when Alyssa pointed out that Trump went to the funeral of Officer Diller.
Yes.
On Long Island, and Joe Biden went to a podcast. Look at Whoopi Goldberg's reaction.
Choose what you like there, but for Republicans, it was good imagery.
Really?
One day later, yes.
And I'm asking that because I was so offended, because you know who showed up. Yeah. And he was, whether he was asked or not. This
But
is a man who didn't care what happened to the officers on January 6th.
She promotes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris every day on that show. Trump wasn't supportive enough of the cops who were, yes, in danger on J 6th. How does that explain their behavior on a daily basis?
And here's the twist. Whoopi finally got her rhetorical crown knocked askew by none other than Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly. Not through a fiery debate or dramatic takedown, but with the most satisfying form of public correction. Calm, casual dismissal. The kind of surgical precision that says, we're not mad, we're just disappointed you still think you're relevant.
Whoopi Goldberg's, did you see what she did to that Staten Island bakery?
Yeah.
No.
Crazy.
What?
So Staten Island Bakery, their boiler went down, and she placed an order of cupcakes for her birthday, and they couldn't
Hold
order.
on. I can't imagine yet how this would go bad. Okay, go ahead.
So she places this order. They say, we can't promise you that we can do this because our boiler is down, so we can't fulfill this order. And so then the next day, the boiler's back up. She has someone else call the same bakery, and they get the order in because now the boiler's up. She claims the reason why they didn't take her order is because they didn't like her politics.
Whoopi's version of intellectual discourse feels like a confident mumble stitched together from half-remembered headlines and the back pages of People magazine. She gestures wildly, as if summoning the spirits of smarter co-hosts to bail her out mid-thought. It's not that she's always wrong. It's that she's never exactly right. Her facts are like lost socks in the dryer. You swear they were there, but something's always missing.
She says this on The View. So then the bakery has a press conference where they say, we've been in business for 150 years. This is not what happened at all. We don't discriminate against anybody regardless of anything. We just had a problem with our boiler, and she's singling out a family-run business, and then there's a line around the block for the bakery.
Then there's a nuclear-grade confidence. The kind only someone who once voiced a hyena in The Lion King could muster while attempting to decode constitutional law. It's like watching your aunt, fresh off discovering Twitter, launch into a passionate TED Talk on cryptocurrency after 2 glasses of box wine. Enthusiastic? Absolutely. Coherent? Only if you play it backwards at half speed with subtitles.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th. of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed. If you ask them, as we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin of
January
The View
6th was an
today.
atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust and slavery.
Here's where things got genuinely entertaining. Rogan and Kelly didn't come at Whoopi with venom. No yelling, no grandstanding, just a calm, casual takedown that lit a rhetorical bonfire under daytime TV's aging court jester. And Whoopi, she missed the memo entirely. Still mid-sentence, reciting some half-baked fact she found in a meme her cousin texted her back in 2019. Rogan, with his signature blend of Jim Bro meets accidental philosopher, used plain old common sense as a finishing move. He's like that guy at your local gym who accidentally read a peer-reviewed article and now won't stop talking. But every so often, he lands on something brilliant. Compared to Whoopi's chaotic rambles, Rogan reading the back of a protein bar would sound like the Gettysburg Address. Then there's Megyn Kelly, sleek, surgical, and all precision, where Whoopi leads with, "I feel like this is true," Megyn replies, "Here's what the law actually says. You work on your vibes, ma'am." No need for volume, no gimmicks, just research, receipts, and the ability to deliver facts in complete sentences. While Whoopi spiraled into improv, Kelly brought punctuation and footnotes to a feelings fight.
Let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
Whoopi tried to play policy expert again, perched on her self-righteous throne with all the composure of a flamingo in a snowstorm. The fact, she clung to have the structural integrity of wet tissue paper, but that didn't slow her down. No, she charged forward like a bargain bin tank running on expired batteries, convinced she was dropping truth bombs, when in reality, she was hurling soggy Pop-Tarts into a hurricane. What made the takedown so satisfying was that Rogan and Kelly didn't even bother engaging her directly. They weren't debating Whoopi. They were dissecting the absurd concept of Whoopi as a serious political commentator. It's like debating whether a banana could teach algebra. Possible in theory, sure, but in practice, pure surrealist comedy. And Whoopi, bless her, likely thought she was on a victory lap, bravely speaking her truth, with whatever fortune cookie wisdom gets posted on The View's Instagram page. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly had already moved on to 3 real interviews, calmly unpacking actual policy issues, while Rogan was knee-deep in a 3-hour podcast about alien fungi and why they're still somehow more rational than half of Hollywood.
Whoopi Goldberg, known for her commitment to facts, Miss, I feel so bad for all the little children that Matt Gaetz allegedly molested, who now will not be able to come forward. She's such a liar. This is what she came out to say on the issue of trans athletes.
When you look, transgender Americans, less than 1% of American adults identify as transgender.
Right. Yeah.
And when you add in youth who identify as transgender, that number comes to just about 1.4. It is estimated that there are no more than 100 transgender athletes competing in public schools nationwide, and an Associated Press investigation found that lawmakers proposing bans on trans athletes in school sports could not cite a single instance of these athletes taking championship.
That is so wrong on so many.
The real humiliation wasn't that Rogan and Kelly mocked Whoopi. It's that they didn't even need to. She did all the damage herself. Watching Whoopi attempt serious commentary is like watching someone trip over their own shoelaces while insisting they've invented a new style of walking. Every time she opened her mouth, the bar for public discourse sank another inch into the Earth's crust. Rogan just pointed at the crater and laughed. Megyn Kelly didn't even raise her voice. She simply stated verifiable facts, which on The View apparently counts as heresy. You could almost hear the gasp ripple through daytime TV producers. She cited a source? Burn her. Let's be honest. Whoopi isn't used to being corrected. She exists in a panel where facts are mythical, often referenced but rarely confirmed, surrounded by co-hosts who nod like dashboard bobbleheads in a hurricane. She's gotten away with treating half-baked takes like scripture. But then in walks Megyn Kelly, armed with logic, receipts, and a tone of courteous disbelief. And suddenly Whoopi looks less like a seasoned commentator and more like a kid who just found out Santa isn't real live on national television.
Is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC
people,
viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't
we
even
gotta...
think the MSNBC viewers. I think
that's
they're a
too
little
far.
bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world. That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg has.
Joe Rogan didn't even have to mention Whoopi by name. He simply described the type of person who forms their worldview off cable panel rants and internet headlines. And somehow every word hit her like a GPS-locked sarcasm missile. His audience, more accustomed to long-form arguments than shouty moralizing from people dressed like rejected Hogwarts professors, knew exactly who he meant. Whoopi didn't get name-dropped because she didn't need to be. Her brand of "I skimmed an article once" commentary is iconic enough that roasting her is as easy as describing any fictional character who thinks Wikipedia is too long. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Whoopi's latest swing at insight came right on the heels of a streak of fact-checkable gaffes, so embarrassing that even conspiracy groups on Facebook winced. She was mislabeling political figures, misquoting laws, and generally treating the Constitution like it was a restaurant menu written in cursive. The cringe was real. Meanwhile, Rogan leaned back, grinned, and dropped a line like, "That's why you don't get your news from shows where everyone yells and no one knows what day it is." And Megyn Kelly? She went in like a surgeon, precise, unshaken, and just a little amused. While Whoopi stumbled through logic like it owed her rent money, Megyn calmly cited actual sources. The horror? Whoopi's fans probably had to Google what a primary source was, and promptly short-circuited.
But it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
And here's the most delicious part. Whoopi will absolutely do it again. That's the cycle. She says something historically adjacent, scientifically allergic, and politically unvaccinated. Twitter explodes. The View claps like synchronized seals. And people who read things more complex than Instagram captions dismantle the mess before the next commercial break. It's like watching someone shove a fork in a toaster, get shocked, then blame the toaster for existing. It's not even about politics anymore. It's about effort. Whoopi has the time, the resources, and an entire studio at her disposal. She could summon researchers, fact-checkers, interns, even an off-screen botanical wizard. But no, she picks vibes over verified like it's her personal religion. She doesn't know. She feels. Which is lovely when you're choosing a couch color, but catastrophic when discussing international policy. And still, she delivers it all with that squinting smirk, like she's just discovered fire by angrily shouting at it. Watching Whoopi try to analyze politics is like watching someone try to defuse a bomb with jazz hands. Enthusiastic? Absolutely. Effective? Only if the bomb is so confused it gives up out of pity.
Melania Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him.
About that, yeah.
She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Would you look? This is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying factual. She hates Trump. She doesn't want to be near him. She doesn't want to be president again. She destroyed the Rose Garden, and she hates Christmas. That is what passes for news on a network. They did a presidential.
So when Rogan and Kelly essentially tagged in like a sarcastic WWE duo, it wasn't a fight. It was a cleanup. The intellectual equivalent of two adults walking into a room where a toddler had finger-painted the Constitution in pudding and gently saying, "Let's start again," with a crayon and a fact check. What made it sting wasn't mockery or malice. It was restraint. No yelling, no name-calling, just a quiet, unshakable calm of people who knew this wasn't debate. It was a public correction, issued like a system update for common sense. And that's what made it brutal. Because while Whoopi marched on, armed with her feelings and a Wikipedia printout from 2015, Rogan and Kelly didn't even look ruffled. They weren't trying to win. They'd already moved on. Their message wasn't loud, but it was clear. Facts don't need flair. They just need airtime. So we sat back and watched that rare collision, where pop culture noise finally met pushback. And for a fleeting moment, reason slipped onto set of View, uninvited, unbothered, sipping coffee from a mug that read, "I told you so." Because in the grand arena of public discourse, Whoopi's still trying to play chess with checker pieces, and Rogan and Kelly didn't even bring a board.
Let's talk about what the ladies on The View are saying. It's somewhat stomach-turning, but we have a clip. They're disgusting. She's Anna Navarro in your wildest imagination. You could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space he goes.
Just when you thought the roast had cooled, the aftermath made it even juicier. Whoopi's silence wasn't dignified. It was the kind of stunned, blinking pause people have after realizing the internet just dissected their argument like a biology class frog. Meanwhile, clips of Rogan and Kelly were spreading like wildfire, not because of scandal, but because the contrast was too hilariously stark to ignore. On one side, a woman declaring her opinions as facts. On the other, two people wielding logic like a lightsaber slicing clean through pudding. What made it glorious was how effortlessly they did it. They didn't even try to embarrass her. They just pointed out the obvious. If you're going to broadcast opinions to millions, maybe, just maybe, you should know what you're talking about. Radical concept, right? The bar wasn't just low, it was 6 feet under. And Whoopi still tripped over it. This wasn't just a takedown. It was a public service. For too long, we've accepted that volume equals truth and conviction equals credibility. Rogan and Kelly dismantled that myth with quiet, devastating clarity. No theatrics, no over-explaining, just reason. And in the echo chamber of daytime TV, reason lands like a Molotov cocktail. Unexpected, explosive, and impossible to ignore.
Goldberg has stepped in it. And let me just start with this. Of course, they're like, she should be fired, the internal ABC nasty staffers. Whoopi, been there. So she should not be fired. She stepped in it, right? She's in a controversy, but I hate the, like, fire. Here's what happened. She went on The View yesterday and made comments about the Holocaust that were really boneheaded. I mean, crazy-ass boneheaded. And this is how the controversy got started. Listen to what she said yesterday.
If you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It is.
No, it's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
So while Whoopi quietly retreats to lick her wounds, or maybe just rework her next script with sprinkle of fact, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly have reminded everyone that common sense isn't extinct. No yelling, no grand theatrics, just a calm, surgical takedown of televised nonsense dressed up in daytime glam. Honestly, it was kind of beautiful, like watching someone stroll confidently into a trap they set themselves. Let this be your friendly PSA. If you can talk big on national TV, make sure your brain actually clocked in for the day. Otherwise, well, this is what happens.